Well, I literally just hit go live because I was just going to do it regardless. What's going on?
Yeah, not much. My main computer decided to stop working, so I had to set up a laptop quick, and we'll see how it
Yeah,
goes. The
yeah, I see
Wi-Fi on
the
this tends to kill, so
yeah, I see the difference. Your image is or your video is pixelated, but
it's the same camera, but I'm on Wi-Fi, so it's probably connection's probably crap. So
I've always been on Wi-Fi. I don't have a hard wired connection ever. Do I
oh,
come?
yeah,
Am I pixelated when we talk on Fridays? Your stuff
no,
cleared up
not
now.
really. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Hmm. But
I'm
uh, I might drop off though eventually because it's I think the Wi-Fi on this laptop goes in and out for some stupid reason.
okay.
Everything sucks. Technology sucks, and everything's expensive now. So
Is it?
yeah, well, between the crypto mining and everything buying that up, and Windows 11 coming out, and everybody buying up for that, and the chip shortage, it's
And GitHub Copilot.
what's the deal with that? I haven't really. I've seen it talked about, but I haven't gone and looked at it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I was browsing at like 5 o'clock this morning, looking at it. I'm not going to switch over to Visual Studio Code to play with it, but apparently it's getting rave reviews. People are just amazed at how smart it is at context, and it just picks it up like it's kind of scary. Again, I haven't messed with it myself, but supposedly like people are very impressed with it. Like you supposedly you write a comment, and it's not even like a gherkin type or style comment. You just write a comment describing the method that you want to write, and it like pretty much pairs with you and automatically generates line for line until the method is complete, and you just keep hitting tab or something like that. So
Oh, geez, yeah, I'm
uh,
looking at the
use Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio.
both, depending on the
Okay.
context. I use VS Code for any sort of web front end development, and then anything in .NET. Visual or VS Code isn't as good as Visual Studio for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine; it'll work. Um, I wouldn't choose to write in it. Maybe if you had never written, or if you're really productive in VS Code, like coming from like a Node.js background, it might work for you. But the tooling is so much better in Visual Studio.
Yeah. I ended up uh, leaving my job last Friday. Like I quit. I said I tried to be flexible with you guys, and it's not working. I can't get my work done, and it doesn't really make sense why this environment's not enabling, or why you're configuring an environment that's not enabling me to deliver value. And so then they so I had already quit, and then they're like, all right, well, do you mind coming to this meeting so we can discuss some changes within like the organization? I'm like, sure. All right. And I was getting told by the staffing agency that they're going to pull the original team lead off, and they're going to, oh shoot, what happened? I'll just keep going with what I'm saying. That threw me off. So Sean disconnected. But anyway, they I was told that they're going to pull the original lead off of the project that just wasn't available. Um, he made himself like the ordained gatekeeper. All code had to get all pull requests had to get approved through him, and if he's not available, then you just wait until he is, and that ended up being for days. And I called it out a couple of times. I'm like, yo, I'm having an issue with my lead's availability. I mean, he's making himself the gatekeeper for me getting code into the master branch, but like he's rarely available. I just kept on talking because I wasn't sure if you were going to come back on or not. I was saying,
I just switched computers.
okay, I was saying I quit my job Friday, and then they said, okay, do you mind joining a scheduled meeting later on so that we can figure out where the challenges are and make some organizational changes. And like the staffing agency that I was going through was like, hey, would you rejoin this client, or would you continue working with this client if they pulled the lead off of the project and you would take over? I'm like, yeah, sure. Right. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do that. That's what the staffing company said. And then like it kind of felt like it was confirmed because I got an email by the CTO of that client organization's titled like something to the effect of organizational changes, right? And then the guts of the email said, it came to my attention that there's some challenges that are prohibiting people from doing their work or doing their best work. And so let's schedule the following is a meeting invite to discuss some changes and to receive feedback from developers. I'm like, okay, that seems like confirmation. And then like I had already quit, but I was willing to rejoin if like they removed this person. Just so I don't have to be a lead. Just get rid of this person, or don't make him a barrier to me like checking in code because he's not there. And I ended up spending like 2 business days just resolving merge conflicts as a consequence. And so we end up having the meeting, and he's like, so-and-so the lead works multiple projects, but based on his experience and his expertise, when he's not available, then we'll have a backup, gatekeeper that's required to approve all pull requests. And we all must comply with his vision, this and the other. And it's like, what the WTF? You guys just told me that you guys are going to pull him off the project. You guys told me that, I didn't tell you this part, that other people have been hired by the staffing agency that I was working for and backed out of it once they realized the challenges of working with this person based on how he wants to do things. And then like I get my hopes up saying, yeah, I don't really have to quit, even though I quit already. And it's like nothing changed. And so the CTO was like, all right, who wants to go first in regards to like feedback about how things are? And don't worry, speak freely. Those were his words. Speak freely. And so I don't know. I think you've known me for more than a couple years. I get pretty passionate about things that I believe I have a firm understanding of.
Sure.
And I already knew I was getting emotional, right? Not like crying emotional, but just frustrated, right? So yeah. I'm like, so all my brain heard was speak freely. I cocked it back, and I was like, blah blah blah. The architectural decisions that are made by leadership is counterintuitive, and this is why you require a unit test, but yet we consistently the gatekeeper consistently approves code that's not testable, and we don't even have unit tests for that code, and it just doesn't make any sense. they made the decision to have one single library to accommodate all responsibilities of this application that we're building. And it's actually enabling or encouraging developers to introduce accidental dependencies that are ultimately resulting in accidental complexity. And it's just poor architectural decisions. So we, instead of the developers writing maintainable code, aka a characteristic of that is testable code, based on the architectural design or lack of, they're writing code that can't be tested, and somehow we're still accepting, we still require unit tests, and this code is quote unquote code reviewed, it's business logic, and it has dependencies on third-party UI controls. And it's just backwards, and I don't think we have the expertise to really perform adequate code reviews. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be brutally honest. The person that you just designated as the backup ordained gatekeeper, honestly, the code that he's been checking in, it also has the anti-patterns that I just said. So honestly, we don't have experienced enough developers. And that's just the truth. And I just put it out there, right? So I'm sure I upset a lot of people because I went in on them. And I didn't think I wasn't yelling, but I was like being direct, right? And the CTO was like, well, look, we're not looking to write perfect code. We're looking to just satisfy these features, and be able to just get stuff done, but with quality. And I'm like, okay, nothing about perfect came out of my mouth. I never said perfect code. And I'm talking to the CTO like this. I never said perfect code. What I said is, if we're going to have these requirements and a ordained gatekeeper that blocks everybody from checking in code until they say that it's quality, and yet this person isn't available, well, this person is dropping a ball, because we're consistently checking in code that is business logic that relies on third-party and UI dependencies, and it's not testable at all. So again, what I'm not saying is perfect code. What I'm saying is, what can we do to reduce the risk of this project not succeeding? All right, I keep on saying the 3 pillars of reducing risk is professional experience, testing, and design or architecture, right? And I said nothing about perfection. What I said is reduce the risk. And that's how I'm talking. He's like, Scott, you need to lower your tone. I just kept quiet for the rest of it. But it's like, obviously everything is like through someone's own perspective, but like the CTO had more interaction with the lead whispering into his ear and trying to mansplain the context of why I'm concerned than letting me quote unquote speak freely and actually like give them facts and data. And it was just frustrating. Like when you work with a team that although they're quote unquote seniors, and I think you and I had a conversation about this, like it's relative to the people that you work with, right? A star college basketball player is the star of the team, but they're not going to be a star in the NBA, right? They could, but it's a low probability. Like they're not going to be competing with LeBron. And so it's just frustrating how they have these like quality gates, but they don't have the experience. Their motivations are good, but they lack the skill and the professional experience to actually follow through with it. And it's just frustrating to try to communicate that to people when you're just a lone contractor and you see them going in a direction that's just counterintuitive. You have these quality gates, but you're failing miserably at executing them. I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. The thing that came to mind is that like if you have a gatekeeper um, maintaining quality, but you're also saying it doesn't have to be perfect, you should be able to rely just solely on directive then, and not on gatekeeping. Like, hey, write unit tests, write testable code. You're hired as a senior person. Do what you know is right. That doesn't require a gatekeeper if you're okay with non-perfect code or not.
Yeah,
So I
that's why I
don't.
said
Yeah.
it's counterintuitive. And then the other part that I left out is they hired like a Microsoft MVP that's local to like the state of Florida. So like he's on the local like conference circuit,
Mhm.
and he writes blog posts and gives talks on Xamarin Forums. MVP, and I call it out. I'm like, we have a Microsoft MVP on our team, and we're not. Instead of making him or asking him if he wants to be the backup gatekeeper, we completely ignore all of his accomplishments and contributions and what he knows about the current or modern practices. And this person has way more investment. This person has way more relationships of people that are invested and lessons learned, and we're not utilizing him. Right. And I mean, the dude was quiet. He didn't say anything. It's probably because he's trying to avoid the
Yeah.
politics.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was like, we have a Microsoft MVP, and yet we're not taking advantage of them, right? And like I said, I was going in on them, and it's like I know that it happens enough time that is it really shops that are low performing organizations, or is it just me with the attitude problem? I know that I can let go more than I do, but I honestly think I operate at a higher level, and it's frustrating that I don't get put in a position that I have enough influence, and and the people that I'm working with, or people that do have the influence, their egos won't allow them to actually hear me out and really interrogate me on the consequences that I'm telling them are likely to happen, and challenging me on it. They don't even challenge me on it. They just, oh no, it won't be an issue, right? And we don't have like a legitimate discussion about the risk and how they're going to mitigate it with their architectural vision anyway. And so that part is just frustrating, man. Like, yeah. But I got a job yesterday,
No.
so and it pays 20% more. So
Well, this one will be different, hopefully.
yeah,
What are
it'll
you
be
doing?
different because I already worked with the lead on the project, and so we already have. I mean, we have a relationship where we can just call each other and chop it up.
Oh, good.
Just in general. So yeah, that should be a lot better.
F# Xamarin Form stuff, or
Yeah, yeah, it's the same thing.
cool.
The only thing is, look, I need your positive feedback. I need you to like give me a coming to Jesus talk, okay? Like I want you to be brutally honest, like, and we could do this like on record. But thing is like at this new job, the dude is like a master like Xamarin Forms developer. I'm trying to be careful how I frame this, but I believe that I have. Yeah, here's a good way of me framing it. I believe I have more time and experience and lessons learned from mistakes, investing in just overall architecture and how to model systems appropriately. Like I spend more time on the overall like bird's eye view of a system than I think he does. That's it. But I'm going to like follow his lead, right? Even though I was told that I was going to be his peer, but he doesn't think so. So like I'm okay. Like I try to pick my battles. Do I have a superiority complex?
Uh, do you have a
Like be
superiority
honest. Be
complex?
really honest with me.
There's probably some aspect. It's hard to tell because I haven't worked with you directly on something to know
Okay.
what that feels like. Just hearing the way you talk about this stuff, there's probably a little bit of that in there, but there's a lot of developers with ego type things. Perhaps the difference is that, those of us that do have that, and we all do a little bit, might have an easier way to, or sorry, what are the words I'm looking for? They might have a easier way of communicating or talking through their ideas with people, or like in the case of the lead that you're talking about at your previous job, it sounds like he's got a pretty big ego too. But what he's got that you don't have is the ear of the CTO. Probably speaks calmly with the CTO, doesn't cause him trouble. Maybe, what's the word I'm looking for here? Decorum is the word I'm looking for.
I have to look that up.
I don't know if that's even the right.
Diplomatic?
Yeah.
Or diplomacy?
Etiquette. I don't know. There might be just, your style is much more like you talked about the way that, you speak passionately in that meeting about, the state of things and open and honest. And people say they want that, but they never want that. But the thing is that you're not afraid to give it. So, I think in the right organization, that kind of stuff would be, as long as the developers can take it, could be very valuable.
You're talking to a person that, like 3-4 years ago, in a conference meeting, I flat out told the no, this didn't happen in a conference meeting. It was an email. The CEO had blasted me in the email and CC'd everybody on it, and I replied with everybody included on it, and pretty much said verbatim, you have consistently failed at blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And it's like, here's the thing, man. Like, because I've been dwelling on this, like, because I've been working on this like little passion project, aka startup, and maybe even before that, like, I don't view myself as like an employee. Like, I view myself as a partner that just gets paid a fraction of what the other CFOs and CTOs get paid. And so that's literally my mentality. It's like, I'm partnering with them. They're asking for my help. And like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to deliver this together. And like, it's not me like, yes, boss. Okay, boss. Like, it's not like a servant type like relationship. It's not like a master slave type relationship. Now, I think that's like my biggest, I don't even want to say misunderstanding. My biggest disconnect is like, I don't really recognize myself in a subordinate position. I feel as if I'm their partner. I feel like I'm the partner of the CTO, the partner of the CEO. And like, look, you guys, honestly, CTO, you don't write code, but I do. And you probably know more about like the accounting side of things and the business side of things, but you don't understand the risks of delivering this project, or of not delivering this project successfully based on implementation details and architectural decisions that heavily influence those implementation details. Like, I'll just go in, right? And I think that's like the disconnect, is I'm supposed to just be kind of like a subordinate employee, top down, but I view them as my peers, right? That just happen to write me a check. So I don't know, man. Hey, Roman. Dude,
Yeah.
you gotta give me a reality check. Stop trying to be like soft spoken. Like, just give me your perspective, and like come to Jesus. Like, Scott, your attitude's effed up, and this is why.
That's maybe something that what you observed is maybe a skill that you would need to, that soft spokenness and stuff like that. Like I said, that's something that you don't have, or you don't appear to have. That, but I get what you're saying though. I mean, okay, I think at times, I've definitely got the same feelings in certain, jobs and stuff like that. Maybe not my current one as much, but previous one where you're, like I said, you want to go, and people are kind of, I guess, constraining you in some ways, and they don't have the vision that's in your head. It's hard to give up on that vision. But I don't know. The other thing is, I don't think you should try to change yourself. I mean, evolve and become better as you learn and take feedback. But somebody somewhere is going to find your bluntness valuable. And I don't know that it's worth trying to, change that about yourself or whatever. Maybe reel it back. It depends, though. It's what you want to do. If you want to be an employee and you want to be a subordinate, then yeah, you're going to need to probably adapt to being more soft-spoken and, less direct. Because I mean, I'm just trying to think about what if I was working on a team and I was on a phone call and you were doing that, what I would think. And I think it probably depends on the context, but anytime situation, like we think with emotions, a lot of, most people do. And if you're on a phone call with two people, one person's, speaking loudly and laying in, and the other people are speaking quietly, it doesn't matter like what's right in there, what they're saying. It's how we respond to that sort of, attitude or that sort of behavior. We just tend to not have affinity towards people who speak up and speak their mind and do so in a very direct fashion. Like I said, people ask for that stuff, but they don't want it. Speak freely, speak your mind. Just don't really speak freely and speak your mind.
Yeah, and you're telling that to a programmer that takes instructions and executes it like as it said, as it's written or spoken. So
yeah. So I don't know. You want a reality check? I don't think there's anything wrong with being who you are. You might try to be more strategic about how you do things depending on what your goals are. But if you're okay losing a job and you don't need it necessarily, you have other options, there's no point in trying to reel yourself back.
Yeah, I mean, I just I bit my bottom lip and said, I'm going to be flexible. I'm not going to disagree with every single thing or I'm not going to voice my disagreement with every single thing that I disagree with, which is a lot. I'm just going to collect this check. That's what I kept on telling myself. That's what I kept on telling my acquaintances outside of work. I'm just going to collect this check, right? But it got to a point where I couldn't do any work. And then the lead was like, hey, you need to stop sitting on your feature branches. They should only live for one day. I'm like, Negro, I've been sending you pull requests like 2 times a day, right? You're not responding, right? Well, if I'm not responding, then you just need to notify me more. I'm like, okay, then I'm just going to spam you, right? And that's exactly what I did. I literally would every half an hour, copy paste the same message in MS Teams chat room for a day and a half straight until he finally approved it. And it's that's just, so it got to a point after 2 weeks that I can't help them. And at the end of the day, if you're telling me that I need to do something, but you are the impediment for me doing it and you're not responding to me, like another thing was like, I had an impediment. He was like, hey, all right, let's schedule a call for later on today. I'm like, cool. Uh, what time? He doesn't respond. I'm talking about days go by. He doesn't respond. So it's just, it's obviously like there's something between us. And I'm like, I'm done with this, man. I'd rather work on my passion project than be frustrated, right? And then ultimately, Scott's not delivering. Well, and there's no conversation with me, right? It's just the lead doing this political thing.
Yeah.
To
Do you have a manager like over it?
no, there's just a CTO and the lead. I guess the CTO would be the manager if he's the one responsible for ultimately hiring and firing.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the size of the org. I mean, that's like in the situations I've been in, those kinds of scenarios, it's it's a conversation with your manager, and there is value, I think, having managers to do those people, not to necessarily contribute on a technical front, to do more of the people management and to field these kinds of things. Like, I'm not getting PR, request feedback, because the team lead shouldn't be over anyone in terms of that kind of stuff. It's like if they're hindering the progression, the manager really should go and find a way to remove that impediment. So
I reported to the account manager of the staffing agency that placed me there, and I told them the first week that my lead isn't available when I need them, and that I'm reporting impediments. And 3 days later, he's asked me if I have any impediments, and I tell him, yeah, the same impediments I've been saying the past 2 days. Like, he's not responding.
do you have the ability to? Did they put in gates on like the? I don't know if you're using Azure DevOps or GitHub or.
We are Azure DevOps.
Do they put gates on it so that you couldn't commit to main or master?
Yeah, he's required.
Okay. I was just to say, is there a way to bypass it?
I've done it at other spots.
Yeah.
But no, he has his command control. Yeah. Anyways, I think I spent enough time talking about him.
Yeah, don't waste your mental energy. If you got another job lined up and your working relationship, as far as that goes, like, so what you're saying is that this guy you're working with has a strong command over like the idiomatic and parts of like Xamarin Forms and that, but maybe less of a systems view. Or
in my humble opinion, working with him for off and on for 2 to 3 years. That's my humble opinion.
Yeah, so hopefully, he's in a position then where, he knows what you're good at and can take your feedback in that regard. We all have strengths and stuff like that. It's part of being a team is to figure out where your strengths are and to not try to compensate where you don't, if you have somebody else who can do something better than you in another arena and likes it, let them do that and you do the other things. So
yeah. Outside of that, the food truck that our stranger approached, I think a couple months ago, he's been pretty consistent and direct. He gets me on the phone. We had a maybe 45-minute conversation yesterday. He had set up like 2 to 3 different discussions with the city in regards to code compliance or whatever, and expressed to me some barriers to entry that's not clear how we're going to resolve it. Like, I like this guy, man, because I don't have to come to him. Like, I have to come to other people to see what the status is. He's like, he's behaving like, and it's another conversation about like, am I really ready to have a partner versus an advisor? I think he probably should be an advisor, because I'm not sure if I'm really ready to give up so much percentage of what could be a failed business. And then it just happens to, go through like funding rounds. Like, I don't know. But like he's pretty aggressive. So here's the thing. Hotels on the beach have in their contracts that there's no that basically there's no other businesses that can perform businesses directly on the beach behind them, which means that theoretically there can't be any delivery of food or equipment, because that's a form of business. And I'm like, no, like, we're not exchanging money. That customer, maybe at that hotel, pulled out their phone without anybody soliciting them, right? And launched the app and said that they want something that hotel can't provide to them. How's that a conflict? And the dude was like, I know, Scott, I know. And I told them the same thing. And it all comes back, no. And the other thing is, with the food trucks, originally we were talking about the Miami Beach Convention Center, like their parking lot, in which you have to like pay the city to rent out that property, and then basically charge food trucks to be on that property. So you can kind of subcontract or sublease. And then he found another area that's actually closer to the beach. But I don't know. This is really challenging to try to figure out how to navigate the legal areas of it. And I feel like it's probably a similar battle with Uber and how they had to overcome taxi services, where taxis had to carry insurance and a special license with the state, and like just crazy barriers to entry. But the people, what was best for the people was Uber, right? That was best for the people, right? They didn't have to deal with always having cash on them, and then when they're getting out the taxi, they have to have exact cash. Oh, I don't have change, and like, so now they have like an extra like $8 that you didn't want to give to them. I don't have change. Like, the taxis are crooks, man. So it was good for the people, right? And so, like, I guess I'm going to have to research, hopefully, any case studies that have been written about Uber to try to figure out some patterns that maybe I could use. Because what I don't want to do is, for delivering a $30 order, I get fined $500, like within my first week. And now I'm in the negatives or whatever, because I'm only maintaining one order a day for the first week. Hey, Roman. So
Yeah. I'm sure there's a creative like loophole to it based on the wording or something like that.
it's basically out of sight, out of mind, I think, is the default solution. As long as based on the GPS position, I'm not offering anything that potential customer will request to be delivered to them, as long as that doesn't conflict with the offerings of that hotel, why would they complain? Right?
Yeah, I don't know that they would. And then I don't know, is there like a way where, so it's totally legal if you were on, like, if you had a storefront behind the hotels, not on the beach, but in the other part, somebody came there, rented a thing, then went to the hotel's beach and set it up, right? There's no issues with that.
Yeah. The issue is the hotels pay such a high price with the city that within their arrangement they have like a non-compete clause, because even though it's like a public beach, and that's the other thing. I don't think the beach is controlled by the city. I think the beach is a state park, right? And I could look into that. I mean, obviously, like the local police are going to police the beach, but I honestly don't think the city is in a position to negotiate what can be done on the beach. They can enforce like laws of the state, but I think it's up to the state to have those policies and not Dade County or the city of Miami Beach. So that's something that I have to probably look into, but I'm not prepared to pay lawyers and go to the state Supreme Court. I'm not willing to pay like $500,000 to challenge that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get some extra change, you could seek out a business lawyer and say, what can I legally do to get around this? So there's got to be loopholes with like, you know, the delivery technically isn't part of the service. It's, you know, it's whatever. You're just paying the rental and the delivery is free or something like that. And it's not really part of the business or something, or it's gratis, or it's not, you know, something like that. There's probably some sort of legal loophole. If people want it, it doesn't probably matter.
Yeah, and the whole point of a hotel is to accommodate their customers. Period. Like that's the whole point. So I honestly, as long as me knowing where that customer is and their GPS proximity to whatever hotel, then I can dynamically render the offerings to that customer so that I'm not competing with that hotel.
Yeah. You just got to find a way to deliver it on the ocean side.
I've mentioned that. I literally,
so hard.
I literally mentioned that. I was like, there's a couple things. I was like, okay, well, when I was in the Philippines, they literally had a strip bar floating in the ocean. What if we could have a floating platform with a jet ski that goes back and forth? Like, I'm just trying to be a think tank, right? And then the other one was food trucks. Like, man, we gotta get food trucks like close to the beach, and it has to be financially like return on investment to rent out property from the city or from a private owner. Like I still have to make money. There still has to be return on investment for these food trucks if we're going to be paying for them to park somewhere. And I was like, you know what? Does a food truck really have to park in order to prepare meals? Can it just be a rolling food truck that happens to just stop for like 60 seconds and it keeps going as it's preparing? And I know there's fuel costs, but I'm just trying to just literally like think outside the box to figure out how to like deliver on this vision that I have. So. You know, I don't have money to bribe any politicians.
Well, regardless of all that, it sounds like it's kind of a fun, I don't know, man, when you're faced with problems like that, as long as you didn't come into it with like the expectation that everything was going to be hunky-dory and now that expectation's shattered, it can be really fun to be met with these problems and try to figure out creative solutions around it. So I don't know. It's if nothing else, it should be it should be a fun thing to try to figure out, especially if you can land on some sort of, you know, ingenious solution.
There used to be infomercials called "If There's a Will, There's a Way," and somehow that pops up in my head often. I know it's like woo woo, but it's like I've come too far to just suspend my work. Like, oh no, maybe I'll just keep going until I catch an indictment. Like, I've come too far to like just stop.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know I could still like take what I have, field test it, and then basically sell it as like a SaaS product or software as a service product. I mean, that's an option. But I want to have the original objective checked off. So
Yeah. Well, there's like I said, there's got to be a way to do it. And I'm sure there's public beaches that don't have hotels behind them too.
yeah,
So you could probably, I mean, if nothing else, you could just start with those areas, and I don't know. Even if you just said, well, we deliver to the edge of this zone, meet us there, kind of a thing.
no, that's not going to work.
How deep does the beach go? Like, if they had to walk back to
before or
the
after, like reconstructing. Start over. Before or after reconstruction of the beach?
current state?
Because there's beach erosion, so they every maybe 3 or 4 years they bring probably thousands of tons of sand to stretch out the beach again because it gets eroded like crazy. But presently, obviously it depends on the specific area. Like in South Beach, you have maybe two football fields of beach, right, before you hit the shoreline.
No, really?
Where I live at, it's maybe 25 yards. Yeah. I know Roman's how long is a football field? American football or like world football, like soccer, or what's a yard? So I'm almost positive the rest of the world doesn't know what a yard is in regards to the measurement.
No, there's one other country that does imperial still.
Great Britain, right?
No. If you look at it's like some obscure. Hold on a second. I think it might be an African country, actually.
What African country is colonized by Great Britain? Googling 1 yard to meter.
No, right. It's actually in Asia.
It would probably be Hong Kong.
No. Oh, there's three.
Hong Kong or Philippines?
So the U.S., Liberia, and Myanmar are mainly imperial.
Okay.
Britain does use a mix apparently of imperial and metric, and then everybody else uses metric. Is what it looks like.
Yeah, most of us Americans know what a yard is because on any given Sunday, it's 1 yard that separates a running back from a touchdown or a quarterback from a touchdown. So we all know what 5 yards. Yeah. So anyways, that's what's going on with me. I'm trying to connect this beach delivery customer app to the back-end services, and I've been doing a lot of refactoring to make that happen ever since I added in the rental back-end service. And, I got approached by Manning, the publishing company. Had a conference call with them a couple of days ago. I don't have time to write a book.
Yeah, book writing is a hard endeavor.
Yeah.
Circling back to our previous conversation, one thing you might consider doing when you have these kind of heated discussions or whatever is always come with solutions versus problems. That's not always appreciated either.
It was a 30-minute phone call. They weren't interested in me giving a dissertation on alternatives that will basically accommodate the concern that I stated. So, look, there's a small percentage of organizations that are top performing. There's a large number of organizations, very large, of organizations that are low performing. People just have to accept that. And they can't think that they're high performers. I know they want to be, but the proof is in the pudding. how often are you delivering features? How often are you able to demo software in front of stakeholders and be confident about it, right? And the answer is the majority of shops, like they can't do that every 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. And people are just full of themselves, man. I know I'm full of myself in areas that I think I really know, but I haven't made that mistake yet. Right? I get it, but I don't know. I know I'm babbling right now. It's just frustrating, man.
Yeah, you'll get through it.
How's your workbench doing, or your work table?
It's not, obviously. My job's going well, though. I've actually put in some after-hours work, nothing required, but I'm working on something where the development's actually really fun. So
At a high level, are you able to, at a high level, say what it is?
yeah, we're building out. So we have an offering where we provide like an e-commerce website, sort of to sellers that are on our platform. And
Okay.
so currently, how that's constructed is it works, but it's using like a third party that's really expensive, and I don't know why, but they only do business in the U.S., but the hosting for these are actually in Eastern Europe. So performance is a dog. So anyways, we're rewriting it to be in-house, and so it's like a multi-tenant, website application type thing. So it's pretty fun to write that kind of stuff. Something greenfield where, and additionally too, there's not a clear it's I have a lot of liberty to just get it done, and the team does, but and I'm not competing with like a bunch of people with alternate visions of it or strict requirements. It's more like you just need to get it done.
Yeah.
So I've been doing stuff like pushing directly to main and just
Doesn't that
cruising.
feel good?
Yeah, it does. So like it does when you're in the midst of building something that's not in production.
Yeah, I know.
Like if it's not in production, I'm totally sold on, hey, if this isn't going to hurt anyone else, if something bad got checked in, like why go through the extra weight of reviewing it, assuming that you trust everybody that's involved on it, right? Which you should, if you're, at least within a month after anybody's hired, you should have a pretty good understanding of what they're capable of, and they should have an understanding of what they're offering and all that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot nicer when you can just cruise and not be held back. There is some challenges, don't get me wrong, but I feel like in my situation though, everybody's just, they raise them up and it's what can we do to help and how can we resolve these, not like defensive, like, oh, I shouldn't be concerned with your concern, I'm just cruising. So
do you still you feel okay if it was in production and you are familiar with feature toggles, you would still prefer pull requests?
Mostly just for the sanity check, because I do that even with stuff that doesn't require sanity checks.
I said that wrong. Like,
yeah,
not pull requests, but you would still prefer feature branches?
Short-lived. Yeah, it's just, well, it's post to it, get a review quickly, and then merge it in. But I don't have a single gatekeeper. It's a group of people, so anybody can do the sanity check to make sure I didn't spell something wrong or do something really stupid. Forget in a wait on an async. I don't know.
Well, it's more performance sometimes. Like I have that in my code where I don't have a wait and it just does it.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't have other code that depends on it. So
yeah. Well, you can. like you got to be careful sometimes. Like something that can happen with Entity Framework, for instance, is that, or actually anything in ASP.NET Core, if you're doing dependency injection and if you've got a scoped service, right, that's scoped to the request. Request comes in, you start an await. You start an async process. You don't await it. The scope ends, and then what that async process may be dependent on is now destroyed, and so then you get runtime exceptions, or you get exceptions after that. So I mean, you do have to be very cautious, but yeah, there is stuff you can just start and forget about it.
Like the example I'm talking about is when you're just publishing, when you do a send and forget, and you're not like, that's all you're doing. So you're writing to an event store, or you're publishing the GPS location of the person that just launched the app.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like there's no dependencies on it.
Yeah, I suppose too. It depends on the risk of
especially
what
at
happens
bootstrapping the application. Like I'll just do away with the awaits while bootstrapping, especially if I don't need anything from it in return.
Sometimes I'll start a bunch of things and then like await them as a group so that the IO happens. But still, then you can get in trouble. Like Entity Framework doesn't allow that. It allows without creating multiple DB contexts. So I don't know. Anyways, yeah, no, I what I'm saying is just stuff that's like that, logic issues or things I didn't think about. I think those sanity checks are valuable. And I mean, I don't have any problems with the feature branches as long as I'm not gate kept. Like, I think that gatekeeping would drive me nuts too.
Enough to leave?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, I don't know if I would have taken it in the first place, but maybe I wouldn't have known to ask about it. I've just never been in that situation where I've had this person must review, where I haven't been good about, or I haven't been excited about that person having to review or whatever, or that there isn't some other backup alternative. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't been in your shoes yet.
I feel more like a startup than like some enterprise. I'm like, go. Feedback. I want to see it now. Correction. Like iterate. Like that's my mentality, man. It's not okay. Let me submit a pull request. Okay, let me get some I don't know, water and take a piss and sit on the toilet and scroll through social media. Okay, like that's not me. So that might be me on like a Friday afternoon at the office, but
yeah,
man, it's like I'm engaged, man, and this thing completely kills my flow. So
yeah. Like I said, production stuff you're changing in production versus if it's all greenfield, it hasn't been released yet. Assuming that again that if you're a senior person coming in that they trust it, there shouldn't be a need for a gatekeeper.
Yeah. Worst
case scenario is they rewrite a little bit of it as they iterate.
Yeah, as you're getting off, apparently the president was like, I don't know, a couple buildings away from me yesterday, and and it's no longer a search and rescue. It's just they suspended the whole search thing because the structure is getting ready to collapse, and supposedly there's like a tropical storm that's somewhere in the ocean that's coming this way. It's been annoying because all my movement is restricted. They blocked the beach off. Like I'm used to running every day, every other day, working out outside, and all that stuff is interrupted. So
time to go visit Toronto.
Yeah, it's time to get out of town, man.
Time to move to Minnesota while it's nice out. You get 2 months, and then you can go back.
You know what?
We have more shoreline than Florida, I'm pretty sure.
I think you have a point, man. I think I might just schedule a flight to Toronto, probably like next week. 'Cause I can't do anything, man. And I try my hardest to maintain a respectable tone with these police that are everywhere. When I say they're everywhere, it's like a video game, man. They are literally everywhere. We have Secret Service, we have the city police, we have the state police, we have state troopers, we have feds. Like they are everywhere, man. And I'm on my Can-Am trike, and I'm just trying to get home. And like no one understands that I live here, and so I keep getting blurped by cops. And I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to pick up diapers, man. Like you guys, I need to go this way, and you guys are telling me to go the opposite direction. Right? Like, I know, but you can't go there. I'm like, what the fuck? So it is stressful. I understand that there's families that have lost loved ones, and there's people that have literally died, and some people have been trapped for 3 days and had a very painful death, just trapped, right? I try to remember that, but my brain is having a hard time adapt to what's relative to me and the change in lifestyle. So like, yeah, man, before I have a mental like break, I never considered just going to Toronto and just chilling. So
yeah. And then the other thing is next time I was just thinking about how you mentioned that next time you get a job, you should just make sure up front that if you want that ability to just push right in, just make sure that that's part of the questions you ask before you take it. It's like, this is something I need. Are you going to accommodate for that? Yes or no? And if they say no, just don't do it. I guess it depends on how hard you are up for cash, though.
yeah,
But
yeah, because I'm trying to get $100,000 car.
What?
And,
what kind of car are you trying to get?
Before it was the BMW X6 competition model. It's really like 120,000. But now it's the Mercedes AMG CLE 63. I've consumed every single
T63.
Yeah, I've consumed every single YouTube video there is for the 2021 model for both super SUVs.
Oh, it's an SUV?
They're high performance SUVs. It's the coupe. I'm sorry, I left that part out. For the Mercedes, it's a Mercedes GLE AMG 63 Coupe, COUPE.
Coupe, right?
Yeah, well,
or is it coupe?
Theoretically, it's pronounced coupe.
Oh, really?
Because I think it's a French word or something.
Huh.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not, because isn't Mercedes like German?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it's still
116,000.
Yeah, so I kind of need a job to supplement my income, so I could buy that, just so that it could depreciate 30% when I drive it off the lot. And I want it.
Why?
I have a kid now, man. I can't just be riding around on my motorcycle all the time. And the thing is I don't like driving unless it's something that I really, really enjoy. So I have to enjoy being in the traffic jam down here in Miami. And like, why not just have a luxurious cabin that I could just drink my shot of cognac or my glass of cognac and I'm just chilling, right? And like, it even has fragrance like built into the cabin. Like it's like a first class like cockpit. And like I'm middle aged now. Like, so this is my midlife crisis for the fourth time. I've had 4 midlife crises within the last 10 years.
No, those were midlife crisis, or not midlife.
Midlife revelations.
No, there's a term for a not midlife crisis, but it's before that. Quarter life crisis. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, quarter life crisis. Yeah.
No, the quarter life crisis is when you accidentally knock up somebody that you do not want to be affiliated with for the rest of your life. That's a quarter life crisis. I've had a couple of those. Midlife crisis is when like you feel like there's a domino effect, like everything's coming down at once. And yeah, you should know. You haven't had yours yet.
I
I don't want to
feel
talk
like I'm
about it.
constantly in the middle of it, but
Yeah.
I
Are your dogs
haven't
therapy
found a
dogs?
resolution. No,
No.
they're just dogs.
Okay.
One of them is, like I said, one of them, the little one's he's getting old, and I don't know, he probably won't make it another 3-4 years, but he seems otherwise healthy, but his legs are gone, and man, let me tell you, it's rough. Like we woke up the other night, he shit everywhere, like just everywhere. We had to go and like clean up at 3 a.m. We're sitting there cleaning up these little bits of shit all over the house. But
Yeah.
it's not his fault. He can't like control anything anymore. So
Have you guys had the conversation, which I'm sure is a tough conversation of let him live it out, or like if it's not enjoyable for him to like walk or just live in general, like that I don't think I could put my dog to sleep.
yeah, I don't think I
But
could
it's
unless
like,
he's in pain constantly. Like he's fine. Like he's not in pain. He's just
yeah,
getting old.
because I've seen people like they'll I've seen people walk their dogs in which the dogs like back hind legs don't work. And so they have like them in a harness and they're literally like pulling their dog and their dog is like walking with 2 feet. And these are big dogs like German Shepherds. And like they're trying to help their dog take a poop. And it's like
Yeah, that's how our dog is.
I get it. Like I'm a dog lover. And like, I mean, I was asked to pull the plug on my dog like 5 years ago. And that was one of the hardest decisions of my life. And someone told me, no, don't do it. And I didn't. And my dog like 95% recovered, right? Even when the doctor told me it's time at 4 a.m, like they called me and I drove up there and I just opened up my wallet and they took what they wanted and he bounced back after a couple of days. So I'm sure it's a low probability of that happening. But yeah. No, my dog is I think 8. And so it's dwelling in the back of my mind because I have a mini bull terrier. And I love my dog, man. Do I want to see my dog go through this I don't even know what the right word is. What's a present tense word of disability? A debilitating lifestyle for maybe the last 3 years of its life. You know, I don't think I want to. Obviously, I don't want to see that, but I also don't want to like pull the trigger and then have that weighing on my conscience, freaking torturing me for the next like 2-3 years. So
Yeah. Well, my wife and I lost our first dog we had when he was like a puppy, and that was devastating. I've actually thought about that. As long as the dog isn't in pain, like this is kind of a blessing to have him constantly like having to take like having to clean up crap and him peeing all over where it's frustrating.
hope you guys don't have carpet.
We do have carpet. We're gonna rip it all out. It's impossible to keep up with it. It's like he just runs and it just comes out. So it's like we try our best, but man, it's awful. As soon as he's gone, I'm ripping everything out. It's gone.
Something's not right. I have 4 observers. That is a record. Holy crap.
But what I'm saying is it's kind of a blessing because, that means when he does pass, it should be a little bit of a relief and not like, I think it'll take some of the trauma out of it. Like it'll still be bad because it's like we love him, but it's like that feeling like, yeah, it was his time. He lived a good life. I'll still be sad about it and devastated, but not probably as devastated as we were about our first dog that died as a puppy. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm depressed now. So
Yeah, let's not talk about dying puppies. So,
All right, Sean.
alrighty, see ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep, bye.
See you, Roman. Yeah, I'm getting off too. So, bye.